All right. The eighth and final chapter of Voyage to Brobdingnag, part two of Gulliver's Travels, where he's worried. Gulliver at the start of this chapter is he'd like his freedom, and he's worried because the king is definitely making orders that, like, if any other ships should founder, that the ship and all the people aboard it should come be brought to his palace, and that the king seems to have a idea that if he can find small female to join up with Gulliver, he would actually breed stock. And indeed, Gulliver talks about feeling like a canary in a cage, which I remember from having glanced at the notes earlier, that was very much kind of a slave reference. The canaries in the cage is very much reference to slavery. Um, but and he doesn't think he's ever going to escape. But what happens is the king and queen go to a coastal palace, and he pretends like, oh, he's feeling, very poorly. Glumdalclitch is actually feeling poorly, and she's confined to her chamber. He says, "I'm feeling poorly. Could you take me down to the seaside, because I'd like to get some air, just so he can see the sea, because that he figures that's the only way he could escape." Uh, and a page takes him down in his little box, which has got like a little ring to carry it, as well as straps on the side to carry it that way. The page puts him down, probably goes off to look for eggs, at which point he gets snatched up by what Gulliver surmises to be an eagle, and is carried off, and is carried a great distance. There seems to be some kind of maybe a battle. He thinks that maybe other eagles, looking at the prize that this eagle has, tried to like get it away, and the initial eagle dropped him into the ocean. Gets dropped into the ocean and floats for a good couple of hours, and gets picked up by an English vessel. Coincidences of coincidences. Luckily, his little box is very well made and is completely airtight, except for he's got an air hole at the top, because if he doesn't open it, it can get quite stifling in there. They pick him up, and when they first pick him up and he hears voices, he says, like, they call down and say, "We're going to cut it open," and he says, "Oh, no, just lift me up, just scoop me up and carry me to the captain's room." And they laugh at him, like, "What are you talking about, guy?" Because they're, of course, regular size. And this kind of starts a whole thing with Gulliver. Gulliver's a little broken here, in that, when he sees the men, he laughs because they're all so tiny. And he gets taken to the captain's room, and he looks at all the ridiculously small stuff. And indeed, he thinks, "Oh my God, these are all little insignificant little vermin." Basically, he's actually kind of adopted his captor's view of him. And indeed, he tells the whole story. And the captain's like, "Why are you shouting so much?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm shouting so much because he's been this tiny guy, who, whenever he's having a conversation, it's like he's standing on the street and he's yelling up to a friend on a high steeple. That's how he's had to pitch his voice for 2 years. And so that's what he's been doing. I guess when this whole story he's been telling, he's been shouting it at the top of his lungs, which, I wonder why they think he's slightly insane. And he does show him off, as with the Voyage to Lilliput, where he showed off the animals. This one he shows off like a molar, and the comb brush, and a little nail of the queen's, and a bunch of other little things, that little curios that he had. A gold ring that the queen gave him, a tiny pinky ring that she slips around his head, around his neck. And then, again, another very much slave image. Um, but he continues kind of thinking that, he's like, that he is the giant looking down on all these people, and how tiny they are, all the way back to England, all the way back to his family, where his wife comes out to hug him, and he goes down as low as her knee, because he thinks, "Oh, she's so tiny, I'll have to get way, way, way down." And he accuses the wife of starving herself, and his little daughter to nothingness, because they're so tiny. So he is definitely messed up. He's got weird. His perspectives are. He's out. He's out now. His wife's like, "You're really messed up. You're not. Don't go back to sea. Don't go back to sea." And this is a second voyage, and he says, that was doomed not to happen, but we'll continue with that voyage next time. So yes, next time we'll do the next one. But it's like, yes, Gulliver is messed up. He's a messed up guy. It's interesting. We can see by the end of this, Gulliver is going to be a really odd fellow in his own thing. It's like it's you go away on a travel and you come back and your home is the foreign land. And I mean, most travelers just snap back into it after a little while. It's like, I don't know if Gulliver is going to. We'll find out. More videos later.